This looks like it might be for storing this stuff or even livestock. It could be put in here pretty easily. Here you can see how this rock weathers away. Apparently the water's seeped through and just literally worn the rocks. Maybe in the rains it just pours down through those open areas. These rectangular holes look like they're probably part of a water control system. In fact, there almost seems to be a pipe exposed right there just to the right of it. And then down there an even bigger one, probably for keeping the water from eroding out the terraces that they've built. But at the same time, I'll bet you down here there is a cistern of some sort for catching that water. See, now we're inside a much larger structure, or area at least. There are a couple grinding stones to the right, and then a grinding apparatus there in the middle. But you can see that kind of is forming the outlines of this, what must have been a rather large courtyard. Whether it was businesses or homes, I don't know. I think homes, because we'll see in a moment there's a kitchen behind me. And then these devices, which are decorative, they're not water spouts or gargoyles apparently. Unless the water flows forward and then out the sides like that, that's possible. You'll notice that these arches are quite large compared to the others we've seen. I'm looking in one that smells very musty, and the remains of life are just literally abandoned. That was the kitchen, though, as we can see. There was some kind of furniture there. It looks like a desk or something. The bed. There, another piece of furniture we can see inside there. Here, a suitcase and some other cases that actually look kind of pretty. And the doorway going into somewhere. Here was a later doorway added to give security, I suppose. It was painted yellow. There are baskets hanging on the wall. All of these, I think, are stone or ceramic vessels for holding probably water, but maybe also grain and other foodstuffs. There we can see a cook stove. Holes there, the fire underneath them like one of our cast iron stoves, and then the wok sits there. What's interesting is the woks are still sitting there. So why was this abandoned so completely? Here what may be fodder, but it looks like this man might have had something to do with manufacturing or repairing shoes, since there's a bunch of shoes and soles and so forth in there. There's some furniture abandoned. Here another complex, smaller, with same size archways, probably built there at the same time, but then subdivided with this wall that I'm standing on. Maybe that was an entranceway going out. But with these trees it would have been pretty, wouldn't it? And there, another grinding stone. Here, an abandoned entryway. These two holes are one on each side. I suspect that man is repairing the road to make it flat from where the water had worn out rivulets. What might have been just a separate little courtyard, or maybe had no function, although it once had a wall right across here. Could it have been just a pleasant little backyard? There is a walkway or something going up there between those two building walls. But notice how small rooms have been created along the sides here. So panning the other side, the area up on top certainly looks well used and has brass plaques up there. So maybe I'll walk up there. Maybe it's a commercial center. There are the men trying to get to work, but not really doing much. I think there where that blue door is, or what painted area, is still used. Imagine 650 years. To a European, that's not much. To me, it is. This is one of those decorative pieces that the men were installing across the way. So I wonder why it's sitting here, unless this hole indicates that it and the person that's carrying it fell in. So it's just been left here for the meantime. These vessels look like they also have a use of protecting a fragile stovepipe. Now we're entering into another place that has wooden doors. Doesn't appear that anyone lives here. This hole was interesting. Was it a toilet? Or could it have been a well? This is interesting. One of those troughs now used as a planter. And there a place that would have been a shelf for kitchen or something like that. Who knows? I notice a number of holes that are covered with big rocks. Whether they went down to other units or served some other function, I don't know. As you can see what's happening to this. These walls, they disintegrate on their own. Here we get to look inside of one. Here, considerable amount of furniture left. There, a cupboard or a dresser. I don't see drawers, so I don't know how that would be used, but this one does. And you can see that that has a hole for cooking. How you got a fire in there, I don't know. But where did these people go? Did their children move into the bigger cities, which is getting to be the rule? And then the parents just moved on to other communities where life was easier and perhaps better? Who knows? Here's some smaller archways. There you can see a very elaborate piece of furniture in a way. And here a heater right next to or a stove next to the kang. But you can see the walls tearing apart as this building moves downhill and tears apart and becomes more dangerous. Maybe that's why they moved. Here's some of the folks who are harvesting those fruits. This is interesting because it's very elaborate for here. It's the most elaborate structure I've seen so far, with the most interesting detail. Was this the home of the wealthiest at one time? These are the side panels. Certainly on top of those square posts would have stood lions. Maybe they were easily destroyed during the Cultural Revolution. Here are metal bases for these elaborate posts. And of course the most striking is this carving. Particularly this detail here. Is that a man riding a dragon? Here a room filled with baskets and cleaning whisks that an American dealer would love to have. The deals in these kind of things. Look at the size of that basket in the back. Tell me that wouldn't be something to cover some wall space in some of the huge Jackson Hole homes. Here's some primitive cave structures that are probably just used for storage. You can see the runoff, informal runoff trenches. This one being a little bit more formal, and then it should cascade down through a rock thing like you see on the sides of some of the walls. Nope, just goes straight down. Oh, pretty patches of flowers. Look at that. This may still be occupied. Here's a walkway. Notice these horizontal rocks to give some traction occasionally. This is some kind of water channel. This is a little more modern building, but nevertheless abandoned, except that it's probably for storage with those metal doors on them. Here a method of covering up a drainage ditch. Probably goes back to Rome, certainly goes back to some of the cities I traveled in Southeast Asia last year, and maybe even South America. It's an obvious, intuitive thing for an intelligence brain to do. This is the other side of the hill. Looking up that canyon that I'd seen when hiking. And there you can see some informal caves. These people probably are responsible for, or own, or whatever, much of this terracing that you see. There they are, working their way somewhere. It may be that they work up on the other village up on top and that they're now carrying that up.